Hi, I'm Sonya. I'm an alcoholic. I never thought I'd say that. I really didn't. Because whenever my daughter came into Alateen, I was in Al Anon and I didn't think I had a problem with anything. Although there were a lot of outside issues, so that was pretty awesome. Awesome until the alcoholic in my life was told that he had to quit doing that, which meant that I had to quit doing that because he was my dealer. So, um, I noticed that this hammer's up here. Is this like the gong show? So who should I hand it to so whenever I get out of line, you can just gong me? Um, gosh, I grew up in Willard. I'm an only child, so I'm very rotten, very rotten. My dad spoiled me. I I loved my dad. I was daddy's girl. I went everywhere with him. It just life was good with him. And it wasn't fancy or anything, just a lot of love and fun and laugh. And my mom really wasn't a part of that scene. She wasn't fun and loving, and she was very standoffish and very driven in her work, which was a good role model. And both my parents had the same jobs for 50 plus years. So I did learn something from them. I've been at the same job for 43 years. I've been with the same company for 45 because I went to school there and then got a job and I haven't left. Kind of afraid of change. And boy, when you come to AA or Al Anon or Alateen, there's going to be some change. Your life changes. Um, so whenever I was small, I'm sure like a lot of you, I didn't feel good enough, smart enough, pretty enough. Didn't feel lovable. And I felt a lot of that because of my mom and my relationship with her, or lack thereof. She grew up in a home where they didn't show emotions, um, unless they were negative, probably. But she didn't grow up in a really unhappy home. I mean, she came from a poor place, but she just was poor in showing emotions. Um, my dad, he grew up not too far from Willard, and like I said, he came from love too. So I had a lot of that growing up from his side of the family. I spent a lot of time with my grandparents and his sister and being on a farm. I learned how to drive whenever I was really young. And that was a sense of freedom. I also had cousins that were really heavy into outside issues, and so I learned a lot from them. And that just carried on throughout my life. Um, I grew up in a Baptist church, God-fearing home. The old Baptist, I got you, God. I don't know if you're going to go to heaven if you don't do what I tell you, because otherwise you're probably going to go to hell and you're going to burn there. So it was a fearful time. I was very impressionable. I looked for love in a lot of places, people, men. Just wanted to feel a part of. I had a few friends in school. I wasn't popular. I wasn't good at sports. I spent most of my sixth grade, though. I say I wasn't popular, but I got in trouble a lot at school for being just chatty, very chatty. And it didn't really matter if you listened. I was just going to talk anyway. I got a whipping in first grade, I think, for talking. And I was standing on my chair and talking to this person in front of me. I'm like, I couldn't stand up, but just on the floor, but I had to stand in the chair. So it's hard to believe that, I don't like attention and then I spent all of 6th grade, I think, I in the corner. Spent a lot of that in the corner. I matured faster than a lot of people, a lot of girls in my school, and I got made fun of a lot. And I didn't like it. I didn't like that attention. And like I said, I wasn't good at sports. I couldn't hit a ball. I can't catch a ball. I can't throw a ball. I can't kick a ball. My grandkids tell me, I don't want Maymay to be on my team. Can you get somebody else to be on my team? Don't make her be on my team. And and that's okay. I understand. I don't want to play either. Gosh, I got, like I said, I looked for love in a lot of people. I got pregnant whenever I was 16. I did not have the young man that was the father of my child go with me to tell my parents. I had the school nurse come with me. She was a very sweet, kind, loving woman, and she came over to my house and she said, I think, that Sonya needs to talk to you. And we sat in the living room where nobody ever sat, and she kind of told them what happened. And my daddy cried. My mom just sat in the rocking chair and rocked. She didn't cry. She didn't say anything. She just sat there and rocked. And I'm sure she was heartbroken. So life was a little strained for a bit after that. But my dad said, I don't know what you're thinking, but we're gonna keep your baby. You're gonna keep your baby and we'll help you raise it. I'm not telling you that you need to get married because I don't know that that's a good idea. Because he knew we weren't ready to do that. So I kept dating him and finished school. And I had Brandon whenever I was 16, and my mom and dad were there in the delivery room. He was not. He couldn't stand it, so he left. And that was for me, that was kind of another rejection. But my mom was there, that woman that I really never had a relationship with. And I'm just realizing this, later on in life, that she rubbed my back, she rubbed my belly, she did everything I asked her to do that night. And from then on, they helped me raise my son. They really did. And they loved him like they have never loved anyone in this world. And my son is like, this is what you see is what you get. Still today, he will color his hair. He loves smoking pot. He just loves it. But he's a good man, and it doesn't keep him from working. It's not, and his family's okay with it. So, and whatever, he's just a good, kind young man. So I was with him, his father. We got married. We were married for about 3 months, moved to Wichita, Kansas. That's where he lived. And things did not go well. I had a warning before then, and things had gotten a little volatile, and we broke up, and you'd have thought that I remember that later, but when he called, I came running, and I moved to Wichita with Brandon, and like I said, it was only about 3 months, and things got really, really bad, and I called my parents, and to the rescue, here they come, like the cavalry, to save me, and they brought Brandon and I home. Well, whenever I met the father, he lived with 2 other cousins. So, and we were all like pals. We all did drugs and just palled around. And then whenever I came back from Wichita, I met up with one of his cousins, one of the people that he lived with. And he had a daughter from a prior marriage. And we started going out. And again, I got pregnant. Before I got pregnant, he had asked me to marry him in a drunken state, and I said no. But then whenever I got pregnant, I didn't want to humiliate and embarrass my family again, so I said yes. Well, we stayed married for 30 plus years. We got divorced in 2013. Our life together was crazy. There were some outside issues. Other than the pot smoking, there were other things. And I would get mad at him because he would do them all, and then there wouldn't be anything left for me. But I didn't really like drinking. I didn't like the taste of beer, so he got drunk a lot, and he liked to fight a lot, whether it be physically or just, at home. He liked to fight at home too. And I would leave, and then I would come back, and I would leave, and I would come back. And I know that my kids didn't know what the heck was going on. And he was not always good to my son. And there were things that he did that I should have left him. And that's one of the things I've had to forgive myself for, is not taking care of my children first and not being worried about how I look to my parents. So he lost a lot of jobs. I felt like the only breadwinner in the family a lot of the time, although he was supplementing it because he was selling it too, so we weren't lacking for any money. But I felt like a failure again. And then he lost his job for one more time, and he knew that I was going to be done. So I came home from work that day, and he said, "I've called my brother. I'm going to go to AA." And I'm like, "Yeah, we'll see. We'll see." Because his brother had been in AA and out of AA. In, out. He would get sober. He would get clean. And then he would do it again. And I thought, well, this AA thing doesn't work very well because it didn't work for Jimmy, so I don't know how you think it's going to work for you, not knowing that, you have to put in the work. So that was the time that we started Alateen, Al-Anon, Ala-Dog, Ala-Cat, and it at first it was hard because everything changed in our lives. Granted, he wasn't getting drunk and coming home and losing jobs like he did. He just didn't have a job at that time for a while. But it was hard in the fact that I had become so codependent. So whenever he started hanging out with a bunch of AA people and telling them all his deep, dark secrets, and I didn't know them, and I knew that, or I didn't think I knew them. I'm sure I lived most of them, but I got jealous and I got mad. So those were things that I had to work on in Al-Anon. So we really dove into the program. I became very active in Al-Anon. He was very active in AA. And during the first couple of years, I had surgery on my lung. They thought that I had lung cancer. It didn't turn out to be lung cancer, but it scared us into doing something different. So we, like I said, we dove in a little bit deeper. And I quit smoking at that time, smoking cigarettes. I'd already quit smoking pot, so I quit smoking, and I gained a little weight. And my doctor said, you know what, you need to put your fork down and just scoot away from the table. So one of my sponsees in Al-Anon, she had started running, and so okay, and she had lost some weight. So I thought, I'm going to do this too. So I started running, and his dad was really active, like bike riding and running, and yeah. So we got into that too. So got really into that physical fitness kind of stuff. And over the years, it was probably in the early 2000s at that point, because we started going in like 93, 92. And we were going to conventions and doing all sorts of stuff. And yeah, no, it must have been the last part of the 90s, because he said, let's do a marathon. Okay. All right. It sounds awful, but okay. So we did. And then the training, it takes a lot of your time. And I quit going to meetings. I quit, talking to my sponsor. I did still meet with my sponsee, but I just started slacking off. I still stayed spiritually fit, I felt like. I started going to church, and I really liked the church that I went to. And we were doing all this running, and I quit. And I ran around with some people that drank, and there was a day that I had a fuzzy navel, or 4, and they were really good. And I got that little buzz again that I hadn't. I know it was a fuzzy navel. I'm a puss, I'll admit it. But anyway, I got the little buzz, and then, it just graduated from fuzzy navels to wine to, oh, I wonder what some hard liquor would taste like. So I call my son-in-law. I'm like, what's the best kind of vodka to get? So, he tells me this high dollar stuff, and I'm like, well, it's not going to work. I can't afford that. So I'm closet drinking at this point. And my husband relapses. And there's times, again, then when he didn't have a job. He did have a job, and then he didn't have a job. Or he would be doing little side jobs. And I found drugs, and just so I thought, you know what, I I don't want to do this anymore. I should have left a long time ago. I can't do this. And I was getting into my own disease and not realizing it. I had no idea. And everything that I condemned him for, I was doing. And I realize that today. I didn't know that at the time. We got divorced. I moved out, and he helped me move out. It's so he loved me enough to let me go, And it wasn't a couple of months that the friend that I had that we drank with, or I drank with, she and her husband moved in with me at this little duplex that I lived in. Because they were building a house and they didn't have any place to go because they had sold theirs and they were in the middle of that. And she and I started drinking a gallon of wine every night. And it just got worse and worse. And we were like in our own little sorority. Neither one of us had any party time. So here we are in my 50s, and I'm acting like a 20-year-old. And I really did. I acted like a 20-year-old. I went out, I went dancing, went to bars, just drank as much as I could. I did not ever let it keep me from going to work. And my daughter, I have 2 daughters and a son. And one of my daughters said, I don't know how you do it, Mom. I don't know how you drink like that. You pass out and then you get up and go to work the next day. I'm like, well, it's not a problem. So I did that for several years. And she kept asking me to quit. And I toyed with it, and my friend and I toyed with it, well, we probably do have a problem, and how can we quit drinking? And I said, well, this is how my ex did it. He went to AA. So I had my sponsee buy us big books. So we'd get the big book out, and we would drink and read the big book, have a little meeting. And I said, that if we do this, we're going to have to quit drinking. This is not going to fly. And not only that, we're going to have to do some work, which means that you're going to have to work these steps. And she didn't ever really understand what that meant, working the steps. And then we would let time slide on by. And then she said, I think that I need to quit drinking again, so she said, can we go to a meeting? And I said, well, we'll have to go to an open meeting. You can't go to a closed meeting because then you're going to have to say that you're Sonya and you're an alcoholic. I said, I'm not ready to do that. And she said, I'm afraid that I'll know somebody there and I don't want to do that either. Well, okay. So I found a schedule, and SOS has, speaker meetings every Sunday at noon. So off we go, going to the speaker meeting. And unbeknownst to her, we'd leave the speaker meeting. Oh, we would go down there, and Dana was one of the first ones I saw. And she was very welcoming, and just, her and Debbie, they're awesome. But she kind of scary. She had that look. And they would say, is there anybody here that would like to introduce themselves? Just like you did tonight, gave you all these different choices. And we just sat there like a knot on a log. Nope. And then we hightailed it out of there as soon as it was over. And then we would talk about them. Yeah, we would talk about the speaker on the way home. Only unbeknownst to her, I had a little vodka in the back of the car, so I get it out and I drink it on the way home. Drink and drive and talk about the meeting. I mean, I am just baffled that a 50-year-old woman that has been introduced to this program worked steps very similar to AA, and that I behaved in the way that I behaved. Oh, because I'm an alcoholic. That's why. Yeah. That's why you did it, Sonya, because you're an alcoholic. And you just don't, you're not getting it. Well, I ran into a man that I had known from back in the 90s at my work, and I went with him to Hoto a couple of years ago. Oh, my sobriety date is June 23rd of 24. Sorry. I was thinking on the way over here, I got to remember to say that. Doesn't matter what time in the talk, I guess. Anyway, so we went to Hoto, and I walked in and I saw all these people that I knew, and it was like coming home. It was really like coming home. And then I went to different open meetings, and I kept thinking, I gotta do this deal. And my friend was not ready at all. And, but I quit drinking. I didn't go to a closed meeting until the day after Thanksgiving. And I called Jill. Was it Thanksgiving? I think I called you on Thanksgiving and asked you to be my sponsor before I even went to a meeting. And I knew that she would keep me honest. She would help me to open up, and she would help me to be willing. And I knew that she would kick my ass if I didn't. So, and I knew that I needed that, So I was really lucky to come in, like Richard says, the back door. Come in the back door through Al-Anon. And I'm so grateful for y'all being here and letting me come in. Like you have a choice. So here I am. I've had to deal with life. And I look out here and I see y'all, and I see so many miracles. So many miracles. Some of you have had miracles that you went through before recovery, and some after recovery. And you've walked through those storms, and you've come out stronger, and you have been such a light to the rest of us. I see you, and I appreciate you, and I feel all that you have to give and that you do give to AA. So getting here, it's I had to put my mother in a nursing home. Over the years after I got into Al-Anon, our relationship changed because of working the steps. I got to see her in a different light. And when I saw her in a different light, she saw me in a different light. When I had the lung surgery, I wanted my hair washed really bad. And my mother and my sponsor washed my hair that day together. So it's like my two moms took care of me. And I wouldn't have had that had it not been for this program. Where where was I going? Yeah, nursing home. She has Alzheimer's. Thank God she still knows who I am. It's hard for me to go there because I feel guilt. I feel guilt because I'm not taking care of her like she took care of me. But every time she sees me, she knows me and she's so happy to see me. And it just warms me up. My one of my children was really tickled about me not drinking anymore. But then, you replace that drinking with something else, and that means you're going to meetings, and you're very busy, and you're getting new friends, and your time away from them is taken. And they became a little bitter. So I've had to deal with that, and it's been really hard for me because of the guilt that I felt for what I put them through during the using and drinking days. And that is one of the things that I've had to work on with the steps. I called Jill and was whining about something. It's like at 8 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning. We're still on the frickin' phone. She's got me doing step 1, 2, 3. I'm like, oh my God. And she said, I'm just going to wait on the phone till you get done. I want you to write this and this, and I want you to think about this, and I want you to pray about that, and I want you to. And so we did. I mean, we were on the phone for hours. And and we just keep working through stuff. And every time I call her, I know what she's going to say. She's going to say, all right, you're going to have to go back to step 1. Get out your paper. Get out your pencil. And it works. It really does work. And that's not to say that life doesn't still hit you right where it hurts, because it does. But I found a better way of dealing with it. I have not wanted to chew a gummy. I've not wanted to smoke a joint. I've not wanted to get a shooter. Although last night we were at Cracker Barrel and the little syrup comes in a little shooter jar. Like, look at this. But I haven't had the want to do that. Whenever I admitted to God that I was powerless, because that's exactly what it is. I realized I was powerless, and that the only power that I was going to get is from a God of my understanding. And I found that God of understanding here, listening to y'all, asking questions, writing, reading. The God that I have today is a loving, forgiving, allows me to make mistakes, carries me. And I can wake up in the morning and I can ask God to go with me. I can stop in the middle of the day and ask God, I just need you to hold me. And a lot of times when that happens, I find that I run into somebody that will hold me physically. So I get some physical God. And that's part of the problem for me too, growing up. And I don't know how anybody else has felt, but wanting to be loved and be loved for who you are and what you are, no matter what. And that's what I found here. So I make a decision every day to turn my will and my life over to God. And like I say, sometimes I have to do it all day long when I'm driving, because I like to drive fast. And I feel like I could be on the what's that movie that we saw in France? It was Ford versus Ferrari. Yeah. Yeah, that's me on my way to work every day. That's who I want to be. I want to be going around all the traffic. But today I know that I don't have a helicopter, and if I'm late, then I should have left early. It's not their fault. It's my own fault. I'm not really sure what else to say other than I'm so grateful for this program. I did talk to one of my children before I came tonight, and they said, I hear that you're speaking tonight. I said, how'd you find that out? And they said, well, I don't know. And I said, she said, so I'm trying really hard not to have my feelings hurt that you didn't invite me to come. I said, well, number one, you lived it. You lived all of it, at least a lot of it. And what you didn't live, you already know about it. And number two, I don't do anything to hurt you on purpose. That is not my MO. And you're welcome to come if you want to come. And I said, but I want to let you know too that that hurts me when you tell me that that you're upset with me because I didn't tell you that I was speaking tonight. I said, can you imagine standing in front of a bunch of people and telling them about your life and all the things that you've done? And she said, no, I can't imagine. I said, well, there you go. That's why. That's part of the reason why. But if you want to come, you're welcome to come. She's not here. And that's okay. I try to be honest and loving with my kids. And I try to be the best mom that I can be. And that's because of you. And I'm there today. I went to pick up my granddaughter. I wasn't planning on doing that today either, but she texted me and said, can you come pick me up after school? And then she's 15, so she likes to practice driving, and she wants to get in the car, and she says, can I drive? And I'm like, no, not feeling it today, not feeling it. But I've let her drive. She drove in through a fence one day and, knocked the fence over, and it's okay. Her mother was flipping out, but I was fine, I mean, that's how we learn. We make a lot of mistakes. We run into fences. We have to jump over puddles. We have to live through a lot of heartache, and we have to live through surgeries, and we have to live through loss. But we also gain so much. I've gained a couple of son-in-laws. I'm so proud of. And I've gained a husband. I said after I got divorced in 2013, I said I would never get married again. And I did. I did. I told my sponsor that this man had asked me to coffee, and she said, "You should go." And she said, "There's no reason for you not to." And I did, and I just fell in. I just fell in to everything about him. His family is the family that I never had. They're loving, they're kind. They welcome me with open arms, and they cherish me like part of their family, and like I always have been. And I'm so grateful. I don't know. The last time I spoke, well, the only other time I spoke, I ended with a prayer, and I think I want to do that again because it has always been very special to me. So I would like to say this prayer for all of you. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. And wherever we are, God is, and all is well. I pass.